Welcome to the Income Flip Podcast. Today I have Anmol Singh not from New York originally. Where are you from originally?
I was born in India, and then I moved over to London, and then New York.
Awesome, man. What part of India?
Delhi,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
capital.
My parents were in Chennai a couple times. I guess my dad was serving overseas, and he was a diplomat for the U.S. And what he did in his later life was just kind of inspect embassies, which is kind of cool, right? But yeah, they told me all sorts of cool, fun stories from the trips in Chennai. But anyhow, man, I digress. I want to come in here and learn about you as a business owner, as an investor, and I'd love to learn a little bit about how you're creating the income flip in your life, right? Why don't we start with what you're actively doing, what your business looks like today, and then we'll go back in time a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So my main thing is I trade the stock market actively. So day trading as well as long-term investing and swing trading, where we might hold positions for a few weeks, few months, and then flip it, as I say, and then move into the next trade. So that's kind of my main thing. And then the secondary thing is my coaching business. So we have an academy for traders and investors. I'm an author, wrote 3 books, and help traders with like the psychological aspects of their management. Because as you and I both know, whether it be business, whether it be real estate, like your psychology drives a lot of the decisions you make. And
Yeah.
especially in the stock market, because the decisions are between you and the computer. There's no lag. So if you're not emotionally stable, you could make some really bad decisions, which a lot of people do. So I kind of help them with the psychology aspects of their trading and investing. And then secondary to that, once I've had made enough money from my trading, that's when I started parking it, like real estate or doing angel investments in startup companies. But trading was kind of the main way, the vehicle for me to actually generate the money, and then decided to invest that money in other avenues.
Yeah, in our language, within our community, we call it creating a cash machine that then starts helping you build a wealth machine, right? So your active income is like your cash machine. Then
Yeah.
you start deploying that into other businesses and assets and to create the wealth machine. So it sounds like you have kind of like a mental framework that's the same, that's there. How did you get into day trading? How did that come about?
Yeah, I was in my college dorm room, 18 years old, just typical introvert kid on his computer all the time or playing Xbox. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do from home? Like, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to deal with office politics. Like, what can I actually do that I don't have to deal with that? And I originally wanted a job. Like, I applied a lot of places, but wasn't really getting anywhere. And then I was thinking, all right, it's me now because I'm not really getting a job. So I can't rely on other people. That clicked for me back then. I was like, okay, I can't rely on the world to like give me a job or something. I got to make something happen. So I just, on my computer, started doing it, researching, writing in articles on my thoughts on the markets, whatever I learned about it. And then eventually started writing for like Yahoo Finance, and those people contacted me. They loved the blog. So it was just like an analyst to begin with. And then I joined a company, a prop firm in New York City. So started trading their capital. So trained under them. They kind of developed me. And I kind of worked my way in the company. And as I traded better, they gave me more money. And it just leveled up to a point. I did that for them for about 5 years. And then they got bought out. And that's when I said, okay, now I've saved enough of my money that I don't need to trade their money, because they would take 30% commission of everything you made. So like, now I've saved up enough, I can do my own thing. And I just went off on my own.
Dude, that's so fascinating because I don't know anything about that world, right? So they actually give you like cash and they bet on you, right? And they say, go make us money. And then they take a 30% rip on it.
Yeah, they give you their company's accounts. So you log into the company's accounts and you trade on so they control the money. And then whatever you make, they'll take 30% and pay you out the rest at the end of the month.
What happens if you lose money?
So they had loss limits too. So
Okay.
you would get a loss limit per day. So if you lose, let's say, X amount per day, then the platform will say, come back tomorrow. You're not allowed to trade anymore. And then you'll have loss limits for the week. So if you hit your loss limit of the week, so the way they had the loss limits for the day setup, you'll have to lose 3 days in a row to hit your weekly loss limit. So, but yeah, if you lose your weekly loss limit, then you can't trade that week, come back next week. So they had these 4 parameters. And then
Interesting.
after a certain amount of money that if you lost it, you had to re-up with your own money. And they would leverage that money though. So if I put in $5,000 of my own money, I technically would get like $500,000 of their money to trade with. But if I lost that 5,000, then I have to re-up.
That's
So there was no
fascinating.
risk for the company really that much. Company's only risk was time because as you lost the money that they re-up, then you have to re-up. But they leverage that money like 100 times to give you their company's capital.
That's wild. That's wild. And what is the environment like? What did your day look like when you were actively trading for them?
Yeah, my day was like I was still in college, so I was still in my dorm room.
Oh, that's
Uh,
so cool.
yeah, so I was still in my dorm room, and I was in London, so I would trade, from noon or whatever the time zone difference was, because I was still a U.S. company, so I would have to trade the U.S. time, but in, my time zone. So I would skip a lot of lectures in college and just trade, and I was just obsessed. I was obsessed. Like my day was living, breathing, trading and charts and analysis. And if I get done trading, then okay, logging my trades on my spreadsheet, looking at my analytics, looking at the data. I spent pretty much all my day there. I was a complete like, introvert and just being there and trying to learn this craft.
I mean, it is, and it is a craft, right? There's so many people that, like you said, you have to be emotionally stable. I would imagine it probably there's a lot of stress that can be involved in it.
Oh yeah.
Whenever I think about the stock market, I'm really a real estate guy, but whenever I think about the stock market, it's like, okay, there's all of you out there that know what the hell you're doing, and then there's all of us that are like, let me just like dollar cost average the S&P because like that's what I'm gonna do, right? And I remember Warren Buffett, I guess maybe Tony Robbins talked about in his book on money, where, Warren Buffett said, oh, the advice that I would give my wife if she had to manage everything was buy I think the Vanguard 500. So I was like, okay, well, that's probably what I'm going to do when it comes to the stock market, right? Do you also have an arm of your portfolio that just does that longer term play within your stock portfolio, or is it all trading and then you move it to real estate?
Yeah, no, a great question. And by the way, I think that is something everybody should be doing.
Yeah.
Like because that's a surefire way. Like, sure, you're not going to make millions of dollars or you're not going to triple your account, but if you do invest in the markets regularly, dollar cost average monthly, your percentage of your income, you just keep putting it without even worrying where the market timing it. Your money's going to double every 6.77 years. Historically, that's always been the case. So, despite the downturns, like markets always been higher than where they were last 10 years, every single time. So
Yeah.
it's a surefire way for everybody to do that. I do that too. So I've divided my trading into like sort of like three buckets. So one is called the income producing style. So the income producing style is where I do the day trades every single day. I'm day trading. The goal is to make an income because when are my bills due? Every month.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah,
pay
when are
bills, you
my
got to do all
car
that stuff.
payments due? Every month. So I got to make it a monthly income. So the day trading would be the income producing style to live off to pay your bills. And then I'll have the wealth building bucket. The wealth building bucket would have two styles to it. One is swing trading, where I might hold a stock, hold it for a few weeks, few months, maybe a year or two, but that's still trading because I still plan on getting out of it. I have targets in mind. And that account, the goal is to just grow the account, not to take money out of it. And then a percentage off, like at the end of the year, I take a percentage off, let's say my day trading profits and my swing trading profits, maybe 5-10%. And that's buying the market index funds and not even looking at it. Right. So that also starts building. So then I have my income producing style, I have my wealth building style, and then I have my investment style that I'm not planning on selling or touching at all. So all three buckets self feed themselves. And then the swing trading account that's just growing to a larger account, that I will take off like withdrawals from, and then I would use it to like start up investing or real estate or other deals.
So actually, so it's that middle account that I'm like, I need some clarity on. So I understand the active income account, right? Like
Yeah.
that one is going to pay for your life, right? Your bills and all the rest. And I understand the last one, right? In the ladder, the S&P dollar cost average. The middle one, how does it work? How does that
Yeah,
one
so
work?
the middle one will depend on mostly the situation. So, for example, let's say I had a bad month from day trading. I didn't make as much as I thought I would make because that happens, right? So then, okay, then I'll withdraw it from my swing trading account, and that becomes my wealth building for my income producing for that month. But for if I'm things are going well, 6-7 months in a row, I never needed to withdraw from that account. Then that account is compounded into a larger sum of money, and then I put that as okay. That's kind of my investment fund. If I come across a great deal, a real estate thing came up, and I'm like, okay, this is great. Okay, then I can large withdrawal from that account to fund that my investments.
I love it. I love it. I do something similar. So I'm glad I double clicked on that for those listening right now. Like one of the things that we have in our household is obviously we run all these businesses and we have all this real estate. And when I get paid, either a dividend or distribution from one of the businesses, I put it into a holding account, which sounds very similar to your middle account. So I put all the money into that holding account. I then move every month my dollar amount into my expense account, my household expense. Like I know what my household expenses are, every single month. So I move that dollar amount over the beginning of every month, and this holding account like just keeps adding up. Okay. And eventually I use that holding account money. Like if we did have a bad month and I wasn't able to move, I could move money from the holding account. But what normally happens is that holding account adds up, and then I use that holding account money to go buy a piece of property or go buy. So a very similar strategy, right?
Right. Yeah, I think the more people divide it into buckets, the more you can see all these buckets as independent buckets that could independently grow, right? And then the other bucket I didn't even mention is like my coaching business, right? That's technically a different whole, completely different bucket that could feed into any of these things that I would like to feed into. So I think having that kind of a structure really helps because then you have all your buckets sort of growing together.
Yeah. Yeah. Each one of our businesses has all their own individual buckets. And then we move money over into my personal, right, buckets. And then my wife is really big into using tech and software for the money to automatically get pushed in, right? So, cool. Well, how did you get into real estate, or why did you get into real estate?
Yeah, my father has always been into real estate, so watching him do it, getting into real estate, and I was always kind of like, I don't understand this, but he was for the longest time trying to get me to say, well, you're doing great, you should be doing this. There's a lot of tax advantages that you haven't considered yet. So I started looking into it. So it's still a family-owned business, so we do it together now. So it's a family-owned business. I have 30-40% of it. My dad owns some, and my sisters own some. So my sisters manage the property. So it's still run like a traditional Indian family-owned business. So my two sisters I have, they run, like one of them does the Airbnb listings and everything. The other one kind of manages the properties. And then my dad and me are kind of the investors in there. So yeah, he got me into it. And I'm still learning that side of the business. I would say I'm not an expert in real estate, but my dad has had great success in that area, and I'm just sort of investing with him. So right now we're doing vacation rentals in Goa. So it's in India, a beach town, a lot of tourism there. So we're trying to get, we have villas there, so they're the holiday villas with the pool and everything. And they are doing a pretty good job. They're rented for most times of the year.
That's fantastic. The way I started looking at just holding assets like that is that they're really little insurance policies, right? Like against inflation. And obviously, if you could take advantage of the tax benefits, then your internal rate of return like gets compounded at that point. But for a long time when I was buying real estate, I was like, oh, like I'm gonna live off of all this passive income. And it took 15, 16, 17 years for us to pay off a big portion of our portfolio. And then that started happening. But up until that point, I realized the way I discovered, oh, I really need to do this active income side was my initial idea was I'm just going to go buy all these rentals and then live off the cash flow. Well, doesn't really work that way, right? You need to create this active income bucket, and you need to create this wealth bucket that happens like simultaneously, right? We call it the cash machine and the wealth machine. And it sounds like at some point you got a heart for teaching, which is where your academy came into play. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about that? What was the vision, or what is the vision behind that?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think I've always been a fan of like, it's always been kind of in my heart to like coach and train people, just because like everybody coached me. Like, I'm not self-made in that way where I just learned everything myself. Like everybody coached me in my life. Like even all these wealth buckets and stuff that I'm talking about, I saw my business partner do it. So my business partner was my actual mentor. Like he taught me how to trade the markets. So without him, like I probably wouldn't be here. So then it's almost like not only just giving back, but also like, okay, kind of passing the buck forward in a way. Because all of these things, like I didn't know any of that. I wish I knew these buckets that I'm talking to you guys about. I wish I knew that in my 20s, because I was making really good money when I was like 20 years old, 21 years old, made $1 million plus, but I had no money management. I would be like Dubai, or next week I'm in London and I'm spending $10,000 at a nightclub. I had like no concept of that because I was all like, oh, I'll just make more money. There was no like parking your money or building your wealth bucket or having emergency funds, like none of that. I was always just like, I'll just make more, I'll trade better. So like all these things were taught to me. So I'm like, okay, so now he's retired. My business partner retired this year. Like I bought him out. I own the company now. So I'm like, okay, now I got to pass it forward and kind of help the next generation and be that for me.
I got a question for you, right? Did you get your ass handed to you at some point? Is that how you actually learned?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, both like life way too, but also like in general. Like, with life, things were just getting stressful because I was just like not having a home base. I would travel like 3 months here, 2 months there, like living that lifestyle. And then having a lot of like friends. Like you go to a party, there's like hundreds of people, but you talk about friends, not really. You can't really talk to anybody, right? So like, I think a lot of that got me to think about, okay, what do I gotta mature now. I'm mid-30s, so like, okay, let's get your stuff together. But then more so than that, also like things slow down, right? Like when you're rocking and rolling and trading, when you're trading the company's money, 10, $20 million, and now you're on your own, you say, okay, there's a level of risk that comes in with you, and it's your own money on the line. So then when you have from making $1 million, your next year you maybe make $200,000. Oh, crap! Your lifestyle needs to adjust because your lifestyle hasn't adjusted. So all those were wake up moments, and I think they're all part of maturity. Like I'm glad I went through all of that phase because I feel like a lot of people, still want to do all these things, but they hold it till way later in their life. Where I think I got it all off my system, like in my 20s, that I don't
Partied. You
have
were
any.
partied.
So I don't have any desire for that now. Like I don't even drink.
Yeah.
So it's like no desire because I've got it all out of my system, and I feel it's really important to do that. So that's why I'm into coaching, to be that for the next generation, coach and train them, and then give them all the mistakes that I've made to help them avoid all of those mistakes.
I think that there's something inherent in the human condition about that because like that speaks to me as well, right? That speaks to my heart. The reason why we built our real estate investment community, our grid real estate investment community, was because I had so many scars and broken bones and like late nights curled up in little balls being like, how am I going to get myself out of this predicament that I put myself into? And I'm like, if I could just pass along some of this information, I think it might have been like part talk therapy, to be honest with you as well, right? Like, hey, don't do this because like, I was an idiot. But I think, one thing is we learn massively from those kinds of failures. So if you are listening to this and you have had like some of those scars, good, right? I think you need some of that. We can't bubble wrap you, right? You got to go out and experience some of this pain. Like I feel you when you say, hey, you made $1 million and then I went to 200,000. Like I had that happen to me, and I just got married and I just had a baby girl and we just bought a house, and like I realized, ooh, the world can change really fast, right? And I need to make sure that I'm protecting home base at all times, right? And there's a psychological journey that you referenced in the beginning, and I want to talk a little bit about that because I think that that's a big piece. You said you got to, through your academy, you got to kind of prepare people mentally, right? Why don't you expand on that? Tell me what you mean by that.
Yeah, so I mean, I actually wrote about it in my new book that just came out this month. It's called Mastering the Trader Within. The reason I wrote that book is, again, you got to master the trader within, because trading is like the biggest sort of personal development course that I've ever taken, right? When you're risking millions of dollars of your money on the line, you learn a lot about yourself, like the good, the bad, the ugly, and all of your beliefs start coming out, and then how you react to things emotionally. A stock is going down, as per our plan, we should be out of it for a small loss, but we keep holding. Maybe it'll come back up, let me buy more, and now we're just stuck in the trade before we know it. We should have been out like a month ago, and now we're holding it with the hopes. And Warren Buffett talks about buy and hold, but not buy and hope. And what most people do is buy and hope. So that's not a strategy. And then also there's greed. Stock is going up, you said, okay, this is my target. If it goes here, I'm going to take profit. It goes there, but now you're like, I think it's going to go higher, let me hold on. So like that emotions of fear and greed and that, dictate everything. And in the moment, like, it's like poker, right? When people go on tilt, same thing with trading. I've seen traders blow up accounts like in a day. I've seen people lose $3 million in like a few minutes, right? Less than they took him. Like I had this guy who come to me for coaching. It's too late, he never hit me up for many many years, and he's like, he sold a business for like $3.5 million and put it all in the market, and boom, like less than a week later, gone. It was
Oh,
sad. It was super sad. Like,
oh, yeah,
is telling me honestly everything, the details. But I'm like, see, this is the thing. If you came to me back then, we could have start up a structure that would never gotten this worse. But now you hit me up after that. I'm like, honestly, I don't even know how to come back from that. I can show you how to come back from this, but it's going to take years to come back the right way,
yeah.
right? Unless you want to do a home run trade, like that's a luck again. But if you
That's
want to do it
luck.
systematically
It's
to make that
gambling,
amount of money,
right? That
yeah.
almost sounds like the gambler that you've got to control from within, right?
Yeah.
It's like
And
the discipline.
research has already been done. Trading releases the same hormones of dopamine and serotonin that you get when you gamble, when you have sex, when you do cocaine. And
Yeah.
now, as traders, we're getting that every single day in the real time, in the moment. So if you're not emotionally in control, you could make some really bad decisions. And we saw that in the financial crisis 2008, right? You
Mm,
could see people jumping off the buildings. Why? Over leveraged, no plan,
mhm.
never thought that things are going to go bad. But you always have to be prepared for the worst case scenario. That will always keep you out of trouble.
I think to speak to that when it comes to real estate, like God, there's so many parallels, right? Like, it's like what are the all the exit plans if we buy this property, right? Like here's what we're expecting, but what happens if we get punched in the face and the market changes? Like what is our plan B? What's our plan C? Which is why, a lot of many times on the development side, I've seen so many of my friends on the development side get their butts handed to them because you get stuck in trades and you can't get out of it in development work because you got to finish it and the market is now corrected, right? And so I am always like, God bless those developers that are in projects for a long time because they need the reserves, the cash reserves, if the market does go bad, and many of them don't because they just over leverage and there's greed, right? Instead of doing one project, they do 10, and now they're just spread too thin because all their cash is there. So many parallels.
Yeah.
So what are some of the rules, right? Psychological rules that you've kind of maybe set up? Because that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing there has to be like this rule, right? And you have to stick to the rule. And it's really hard to stick to the rule. Like there's this internal, it's like being the CEO of you. I talk about that all the time. So what are some of those just in your world, in your life, maybe?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with anything is like having a plan. Like you wouldn't enter a business without a business plan. Why are you in a trade without a trading plan? Why are you in an investment without an investment plan? So it needs to be treated like a business. I think a lot of people in the markets at least treat it like a hobby. They read an article, like they believed in this stock, or oh, Elon's going to do this. Like it might, but that's not what we want to gamble our future on. What's the plan? Treat it like a business is number one. Now, part of treating it like a business is knowing what you're willing to lose on the trade, knowing what you're willing to risk on the trade. Because if you knew that, there wouldn't be any surprises, right? So, and the way we calculate it is very simple. So let's say you take a day trade and you're like, you know what? Since it's a day trade, I don't want to lose more than $1,000. If I lose $1,000, I can handle it. I'm okay with that. Okay, so then let's say the stock is at $100. We buy the stock at $100, and let's say we look at the charts and we say, okay, if the stock goes below $99, I'm going to get out and I'm going to take a loss. So now we know we're risking $1 per share. We're buying it at 100. If it goes below 99, we're out, right? And there's no questions about it. You have to be out. So now we're risking $1 per share. So if I'm okay losing $1,000, I can buy 1,000 shares. So you just buy 1,000 shares, and now if it goes down to 99, you lose the 1,000 that you planned on losing anyway. So there's no surprises, right? And now if the stock goes to 105, you have 1,000 shares going to 105. So now you're going to make more, and you're going to lose less. So we call that one R, or one risk unit. So then all the trades should be the same. There's not like one trade I'm going to risk $1,000, next trade I'm going to risk $5,000. I risk the same, let's say $1,000 on all the trades. And if it's a loss, I count it as minus one R. And if it, let's say, buy it at 100 and I sell it at $102, now I made $2 per share. Or I made 2R. So everything is
Got it.
in R units. It takes out the psychology completely. We don't look at money. Minus 1R trade, or plus 2R, plus 3R,
Oh,
minus
that's
1.
cool.
And it's all become so binary that as long as my winner is 2 times my average loser, I only need to be right 40% of the time to make money. Right? I could take 100 trades, lose 1,000 each on 60 of them. I lost 60,000, but on 40 of them, I make 2,000 each. I made 80,000. Net net, I
Got
made
it.
20,000.
Got it. Got it.
It's all
God,
statistics.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, how many books do you have, by the way?
So I have three. The first one that I wrote was Prepping for Success. That has nothing to do with trading or investing. It's all psychology, mindset, success, productivity. And then the second one is a journal. It's more for people to fill out, but I've given the benefits of journaling and kind of how I've structured it. And then the new one that we just wrote is Mastering the Trader Within, which is all on trader psychology, investment psychology, controlling yourself, building emotional resilience, and doing it like a business.
Where did the desire to writing a book come from?
I think I think a lot of people love reading. I speak a lot online. I trade and I live stream myself trading and all of that stuff. But I think some people just prefer a book. There's something about when you hold something in your hand and you read it, you feel like you pay more credence to it. You pay more attention to it. It sinks in a lot more. And it's also something that is going to be in existence even when I leave, right? So I think it's just something you're leaving behind, all the things that has helped me get to where I am, and now it's available and it's going to be here long after I leave the earth. So I think that's like a kind of the desire for that,
That's cool. That's awesome. That's awesome.
and
So
it's
what is,
also a marketing tool as well.
yeah, so let me ask you about that. Then do you trade other people's money?
I don't know the trade people's other money because
Okay.
that then you get into SEC FINRA regulations and licensing, and it's a different world. Like I was going to start my hedge fund about 3 years ago, so I filed the paperwork, about to launch my hedge fund because well that's the natural step, right, for me, progression step. And then I actually networked and met a lot of these hedge fund managers. I would get invited to all these events, and then it dawned on me that this whole hedge fund world is not actually about trading and investing. It's all about raising money. So when I go to these networking events, all these hedge fund managers who I'm talking to, they're all like, "Oh, hey, you should go to that person's event. I'll connect you with that guy. You'll raise some money from here." It was all about raising money. And I was like, well, that's not what I like. I like the art of trading and investing. That's my passion. I'm not in it to kiss a lot of frogs, as they say, right? Just go to events and raise more money. Because I'm an introvert, as I said. Like, I don't want to go to
Oh
these
yeah,
events.
that's like your worst nightmare. Like
Yeah.
to zap all your energy.
And it
Yeah.
was all like people brilliantly dressed, amazing suits, and it was all about go to that networking event. He could probably give you 1 million, and then have a meeting with this guy. I'm like, so when are you actually trading or investing? They're like, oh, we have models for that. All our business is just to go out and raise money and look good on CNBC, and then you get more money, and then you would just have quants or models running it for you. So I'm like, oh, okay. That's when I was like, okay, that's not my, I'm not in it for more money.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your academy. Like, what is that? What does that look like? What does that cost? What's the ascension play in there? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so there's like three levels of people to work with us. So one of them is like we have our live trading room, which is just a monthly subscription, a few $100 a month, and I trade live every single day. I live stream myself, win or lose, you get to see it in real time,
Oh, that's
right?
cool.
Yeah, so every day, Monday to Friday, I'm on every morning. So I trade
How
live.
long? How long?
I stream from 9 o'clock till about 11 o'clock, 2 hours.
Wow. So you're documenting your work,
Yeah, so
and
every
then
day
and
people
then people
see
pay
it.
you money to
Correct.
see you in action. That's cool.
Correct. Yeah. That and then there's a lot of learning that happens. So when I get off the mic at 11 o'clock, then I have one of my coaches that I train. He comes on from 11 to 12. So we do like a morning review from 9 to 9:30, which is before the markets open. Okay, what are the stocks we're going to focus on today? What are our favorites? What we're looking at on these stocks to do? And then I will actually trade myself from 9:30 till let's say 10:30 or 11 o'clock, and I call out everything in real time, what I'm looking at, what I'm doing before I even get into it. And then I explain why I'm getting into it. So people who've gone through our courses can see what we were showing them in the course actually now being applied in real time. And then the rest of the day is answering Q&A, questions, or people send us their trades. Hey man, I took this trade on Tesla over here. Can you review it for me? Was it a good trade or not? Then it's giving them feedback during the day. And then we have level 2, which is our academy, which is our on-demand courses, 30 plus hours of video training, a lot of video content, A to Z, from trading, from stocks to options to psychology to creating a trading plan, how to create a trading business. So that's like part of the academy. And then level 3 is our mastermind group, which is called Evolve Mastermind, which we just started this year, and it's growing really well. And that basically includes everything: my live streams, my courses, my newsletter, which is for longer term investors. So I give them my whole portfolio access. They can log in and take a look at my trading account and my investment portfolio anytime.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
That's
they
cool.
get
It's
that
like
in the
it's like
mastermind. Yeah.
they could literally just look under the hood. There's no like,
Yeah, they can just log in any position I have open. They'll see it. How much if I have, how much percentage of my portfolio does that make up? And anytime I do take a trade, we have like a private community in Discord and text message. I text them, hey, I just bought this stock. This is my target. This is my exit point if I'm wrong, and I just kind of send them the trades. And yeah, we hop on Zoom calls like 2 3 times a month, and we bring on expert speakers, guest speakers as well. So
how many people do you have in the academy, or have you had go through the
So
academy?
Academy, probably thousands of people have gone through it by now, and then a lot of the majority of the people went through it in 2020 and 21 because that was the boom, right? Everybody wanted to learn how to trade,
Hmm.
and then in the mastermind, I started that this year in February. We have about 50 something members.
Oh
It's a more
wow.
higher level program, and then it's called Evolve. So I teach them anything to do with trading, investing, finances, and mindset. And then for other stuff, I bring on speakers. Like I'm not the expert in health, so I'll bring on a health expert. I'm not the expert in, let's say long-term stuff. I'll bring on speakers for that or accountants. So that way we have this community where we're all growing together, learning together. And then, you need an accountant, let me connect you with somebody. And there's
I
like
love
this
that.
business
I,
being conducted in that.
I've been part of that on the real estate side. If somebody wants to get access to that or learn more about it, right? Do they go to evolve.com, Evolve
Yeah,
Academy?
just go to my website, unmol.net, and then you will see a button on the top for Evolve Mastermind. You
Okay.
click that, you fill out an application form, and then you book a call with a member of our team so we can learn more about you and see if it's a good fit for the community.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that third tier requires a lot of energy, right?
Yeah.
It just does. To put I'm just thinking for building community for us, right? Like that requires a lot of energy. So as an introvert, like how did you decide to do that play, right? Because you got to put on. Are you putting on any physical events, or is it all online?
So right now it's all online, but we have once annual like a in-person event. So every year we do one annual event, which we've done since 2015, which will be like 20 25 people, 4 days live, and you basically trade with me for 4 days in person. And then there's coaching sessions. So we do like a Saturday and Sunday, which is teaching, and then Monday and Tuesday I actually watch you trade and you watch me trade, and we do the whole thing. So yeah,
Dude,
once a year.
that's so cool. It's a working. It's not like a go hang out and just mastermind.
Yeah,
It's
like
actually
I
like
don't, yeah, I'm not a big fan of, when you go to these events and it's just like all speakers and the persons are just, people are just sitting on the stage. I'm like, you could have just watched the online webinar. Like, why you invite all the people to fly in person and now just listening to a speaker where you could have just watched a video? So the purpose of live events for me, it is like, let's get to work. Show me your business plan. Let me mark it down.
dude, that is so good.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. He's giving me some ideas, right? Well, so if somebody wants to learn more about you, they're going to go to your name, anmol.net, right?
Yeah, they could just go to. I'd happy to give your listeners a free copy of my first book, Prepping for Success.
Oh, that'd be
They
cool.
could just go to go dot my name unmol.net. So go.unmol.net, and they could just cover shipping, and wherever you are in the world, we'll send you a copy of the book. That's a great way to get started, and then you'll start, seeing everything else that I'm involved with. But more information is on unmol.net or livetraders.com, which is my trading academy.
I love it. I'm going to ask you one final question, right, before we wrap it up. If you had to give your younger self advice, right, your 20-year-old self advice, based on what you know today, and it doesn't need to be trading advice, it could just be life advice, right? What would that be?
Rather than spending $10,000 in a nightclub, you should have put it in the markets. You should have bought Tesla stock or Bitcoin or something. Yeah.
Don't blow it on stupid shit, right?
Yeah, seriously, don't blow it on trying to look cool, because that's the thing. A lot of people in their 20s and some even later on in life don't do it for other people. Do it because something you enjoy doing it for yourself, and just yeah, do what your heart desires, not to prove something to anybody or other people.
Yeah, I love that, right? It's like at the end of the day, like I always say this, like, you die tomorrow, like it's like only the most immediate people in your circle will really ever care, right? It's like, hopefully you've built a legacy where you're giving a lot of people all this training through academy and they will reflect. But you think about like life just moves on so fast. So why worry about impressing other people with these things when at the end of the day, it's like, you don't know their life. You really don't know their life. They really don't know yours, right? So just build what you want to build is what I hear you say.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
majority of the things you're going to try to do to impress other people, they're not going to even remember it of a year from now. So,
No, they're not going to remember.
yeah.
Well, Anmol, thank you so much for spending time with the Income Flip. I love hearing it from your perspective because, like, honestly, we haven't had anybody that's just their active income has come from day trading, which I think is so freaking cool. It's always been like wholesaling or flipping houses or something like that. So very cool to have you on, hear the perspective, but hear the similarities in the psychology of making money, right? Okay.
Absolutely. No, thanks for having me. It was great chatting with you as well.
Thanks, man.